All right, thanks everybody for showing up on a Friday afternoon. Hope everyone enjoyed the conference so far. I know it's late on a Friday, so hopefully this is enough entertainment to keep you guys awake. My name's Jacob and this is Abby. We both work at LendingTree and we're here to talk to you about how we've used Tableau to enable some real-time alerting in our digital marketing teams. So first, for those of you that are probably going to fall asleep or have ADD, I'm going to give a quick little too long didn't read summary of our presentation. We're going to talk about two main things today. First is a dashboard that we built to really give visibility for the marketing teams and the executive teams to show them how we're performing. And this was to solve some specific inefficiencies in how we were getting data to the decision makers. And then secondly, we're going to talk about how we leverage some APIs in Tableau Server and with OpsGenie, our alerting tool, to kind of leverage real-time alerts. And we did both of these things really using Tableau as heavy lifting. So why Tableau? I think anyone in this room can relate to the fact that we love Tableau. We want to use it for everything. So if you see every problem as a nail, or in this case, as an excuse to use Tableau, you're just going to constantly be using Tableau to solve business problems. So quick introduction. My name is Jacob Vann. 10 plus years in the BI space. 6 of those years have been hands-on with Tableau. And now I manage a great team of people, including Abby and people in the audience. So they're all awesome and they help me look good. My educational background is I have a computer science degree and a master's in management information systems. And for hobbies, I like to do creative things like drawing, including drawing my self-portrait in Tableau. And I also do a lot of gaming and even Dungeons and Dragons. And if you couldn't tell that I'm a nerd, I also plot histograms of dice rolls in Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, that's me. And Abby will introduce herself.
Thank you, Jacob. So hi, everyone. Thank you for choosing us as your last session of this year's Tableau conference. So my name is Abby. I joined LendingTree about 1.5 years ago as a Tableau developer. And in my day-to-day job, I creating report with Tableau and then doing some data thing like BI, ETL with Python and SQL. And I have approximately 3 years experience using Tableau. And I'm originally from Taiwan, Taipei, Taiwan, and then I came to the United States 3 years ago for my master's degree in business analytics. And in addition to loving data, I'm also a big dog lover. So in the picture is my dog. His name is Google. Yeah, that Google. But don't expect him to answer you how's the weather today. Right. So I also love go traveling and hiking with my dogs. That's something I do when I'm not working. All right. So that's pretty much something about me. And today, Jacob and I will be presenting you guys one of the most successful reporting systems we have at LendingTree. And so we will walk you through about how we bring ideas to report creation and then also to the alert system we built. So let's take a look at the agenda. First, in the background and problem definition sections, we will tell you why this report is that important to LendingTree as an online loan marketplace company. And secondly, in the project execution and alert system sections, we will telling you why, how exactly we put the business ideas into report and the alerts. And last but not least, we will conclude our presentation by telling you what's the result we got and then what's our plan for the future. And after that will be a Q&A session. So Jacob will talk about the first few sections. Jacob.
Awesome. Thanks, Abby. So like I said, we both work at LendingTree. So who here has heard of LendingTree as a company? So most of you, yeah. We've been a brand for over 20 years, since the 90s. We're a leading online loan marketplace. And what that means is we take consumers that are looking for lending solutions, they come to our website and we connect them with the best loans that fit their needs. And we started out just as a mortgage origination company, generating leads for mortgages. And now we do personal loans, home equity, auto loans. We're even doing insurance and deposit accounts. We really want to be part of every major financial decision that a consumer makes in their life. And just in the last year, we've helped originate $24 billion in mortgage loans. So that's a pretty big footprint. So how have we maintained such success, especially in the up and down world of mortgages? So we've done that primarily by leveraging the value of data and analytics. So we're a small company. We've grown through acquisition, but we're still less than about 1,000 headcount. And the analytics team in particular is only about 20 people. But our analytics team is a shared function that sits within the organization. We don't sit under one particular group necessarily, but we leverage efficiencies across the organization. So if you think of these different business units as gears in the machine, analytics is trying to be the lubrication that makes sure those gears are moving smoothly. And we do that by providing reliable data, actionable insights, and training and support for those users. And it's no surprise that we're using Tableau as our primary analytics and reporting tool. So why did we pick Tableau in particular? For instance, like I said, we have grown through acquisitions. And what that means is we'll buy a company that has talented people or a good product, and that company is going to come with legacy data. And that data is not going to mesh well with our existing data. And if you've ever worked with traditional BI or EDW stacks, those projects can take 18 months to get that data fully integrated. But the CFO wants to see numbers now. So Tableau, with data prep, data blending, other tools, we can actually mash those data sources together into an executive view much, much sooner than we would with traditional BI. It obviously helps us create beautiful visualizations, which we'll be showing you on today. Web authoring tools, we make a good use of that, but firstly, we create certified data sources. This is something we really ramped up a year and a half ago, but we've really tried to drive home the self-service BI. And then lastly, which we're going to talk about today, is using the APIs to get even more power out of that data in the Tableau server. So a little bit about adoption. I kind of have to show this. I'm used to showing this every time I need to justify my job or my team. But if you look in the top left, you'll see this is the growth of Tableau server users at the company. So when I started in 2016, we only had, I would say, 25 server users and maybe 10 desktop licenses. And now we're up to 341 server users. So it's a pretty steady growth curve. Like I said, we're about 1,000 headcount, and most of that is acquired companies. So that's a pretty good adoption. And if we look at how many have logged in the last 14 days, it's 70%. So obviously we want to see that as high as possible, but we're pretty happy with that adoption and usage. And if you look at the top right, I want to draw your attention first to the light green line that shows 144 reports. These are the published workbooks by type over time. So up until now, we have 144 standard reports. So these are reports that were created by my team or other analytics functions that are sort of core standard reports. But if you look at the orange line that shoots up in 2018, this is sort of the explosive growth we've seen in self-service BI. So once we started creating certified data sources and started monthly trainings with those users on how to create their own reports, we gave them sandboxes to publish those reports. And we've seen tremendous explosion in that. And that's really helped my team be more efficient because every report published to a sandbox is a report where they didn't have to come to me or come to a BI person or a DBA to get that information. And if we look at what percentage of users have published sandbox reports, it's 18%, which might not sound like a lot, but if you think about it, it's 1 in 5. So out of those 341 server users, 1 in 5 have been proficient enough to publish their own workbooks. So how have we maintained that level of adoption at LendingTree? I like to say we have a center of enablement, but I don't like to pretend like we are going to talk about a center of enablement for an hour because ours is really grassroots and scrappy. You might have seen other topics earlier this week with much more robust COEs, but I want you to know that it's not hard to create a COE in your area. You really just need one person or one team that's kind of buried in Excel spreadsheets, but they have a little bit of talent in their group to do more. And in our case, it was a marketing team. They had somebody who was building these weekly reports and spending hours and hours kind of copying and pasting data from Excel into PowerPoint. And we said, hey, if we created a data source in Tableau for you and taught you how to use it, you could automate this whole workflow. And once we did that, it just exploded. And so they took that data to their team, showed them how to build their reports, and then that marketing team then started to ask more questions of us and say, hey, now that I'm answering this question, I want to dive deeper. And so they come to us with new requirements for additional data sources. And then before you know it, the product team, marketing, sales, they all want the same kind of thing that we gave that first champion. And now we support it with a portal. We have documentation, training videos, et cetera. So it really grew organically. And it just started with one step of looking at somebody buried in Excel and saying, hey, I think we can make their lives better. So with that out of the way, I'm going to talk about the actual business problem at hand here. So most of you have heard of LendingTree, but you might not necessarily understand what we do. We are primarily, for mortgage in particular, we're a lead generation company. So what that means is we're doing marketing to attract leads to our website. And then on the sales side, we're attracting lenders to our network, and we're connecting those consumers with the lenders. And in this sort of simplified business model, I have three main constraints here. We have marketing, and their job is to work with the search engine marketing, display marketing, CRM marketing, and drive the highest quality consumers at the lowest cost. And then on the right-hand side, you have our sales team, and they're negotiating the highest cost or highest revenue per lead that they can. So they're negotiating with the different banks and saying, hey, if we get this type of consumer on the network, will you pay us this much? And in the middle, you have the lender matching algorithm that we have in-house. It's proprietary. So that is controlled mostly by what lenders tell us what kind of consumers they're trying to match with, and then what their capacities are. So that's really the main constraint that we have, is each lender has its specific capacity. Not every lender is going to take 100,000 leads in a month. Some of them might only take 10 or 100. So we need to be very cognizant of how we're attracting leads to our website. But if you look at these three pillars of our business model, sales contracts can take a month, a year to renegotiate. It's very hard and very static. Same with our matching algorithm. We can't really change it. We have contracts and SLAs and stuff. But the thing we can impact in a day-to-day basis and even an intra-hour basis is marketing. We can be agile and change how we're marketing to different customers and actually change the mix of consumers that are coming to our website. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And this is where we see the biggest value in finding where we can make real-time, agile change, and through visualizations and through alerting to really get those teams to be more effective. So again, if you've done any kind of sales or marketing, you understand a funnel. But I'm just going to explain it here so that we're all on the same page. This is simplified, but this will give you an idea. But basically, we have impressions. This is the number of people that have seen a particular ad. So for instance, if we have a Google ad, anyone that sees that ad is an impression. So if they click on that ad, they'll be driven to our website where they can fill out a form, give us our information, and then they become a lead. And that lead is where we monetize. But that lead doesn't necessarily monetize unless they get matched with a lender. There's some scenarios where somebody fills out a form, they don't give correct information, or they don't have enough credit history, and banks aren't really interested in them, so they don't match. But if they get matched, then we can monetize. But we're monetizing, but the bank doesn't monetize until that loan is actually closed, right? So that's the other thing. And the other thing to keep in mind is we're matching consumers from 0 to 5 lenders. But you're not going to get 5 mortgages. So it's up to those banks to make sure that they're being competitive. And it's up to us to make sure that we're sending consumers that have the highest intent to close. But again, just like the previous slide, the thing that we can have the direct control over is the impressions and leads. And that all stems from how we're marketing. So I'm going to kind of sidestep and talk about the specific business issues we had prior to when we took on this project about 2 years ago. So some of this might be very familiar to you guys. But the first thing is we really, in our mortgage daily pacing plan, we didn't really have a standardized process. So what that means is we had monthly and quarterly budgets. So we knew we had to hit this revenue, this profitability. But the day-to-day channel managers, the line managers, they didn't know how many leads they're supposed to generate each day or what their marketing budget was day in and day out. So really we wanted to standardize that process. Secondly, the reporting was very slow. We had some legacy BI solutions that were SSRS driven. They weren't real-time at all. So you'd wait for that weekly or daily report, and it was too late to make an agile decision. Because we had no real-time reporting, we couldn't do any kind of alerting. And this could be very costly if you're doing digital marketing, because if you set up a campaign and your link goes to a 404 page, whoops, you're paying $10 per click for 6 hours, and now you've cost $50,000, and you're never going to get that revenue to offset it. So that was something we really wanted to address with this. All of these kind of culminated in the marketing teams feeling trapped. They're being beholden to their bonuses were tied to hitting budget. but they didn't know what their daily plan was. They had no way to see how they're doing day in and day out. They couldn't really have agency in how their performance was. And then all of this led to extreme executive anxiety. Everyone dreads the executive walk by your cubicle or the call at 3 p.m. So we wanted to make sure and avoid that as much as possible. So the dashboard that Abby is going to walk you through is really targeting 3 main groups, considering the problems that I just highlighted. The first are the executives. Obviously, they're the sponsors. They're the ones that are literally, allowing us to spend time on this. But they just need to see performance at a glance. They're not interested in a deep dive. They just want to know, are we good or are we not? Are we going to hit our monthly goal or are we not? So we wanted to give them at a glance visualizations. The analysts are the people that are really driving the insights. They're the ones that are creating the plans and giving us a viable path to hit our goal each month. So they're the ones literally setting the daily pacing plans. So they need to be able to manage to that plan with this report and see what's driving our success or our failure to hitting that plan. And then lastly are the marketing channel managers. These are the foot soldiers, the boots on the ground that really make the day-to-day tactical decisions on how are we bidding with our Google ads, how are we bidding with our display ads to make sure that we're getting the right mix of consumers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about KPIs also. These are not very hard to understand, and that's one of the lessons we learned is you don't have to overthink the KPIs that you're providing. You just have to know which ones are driving the value of what you're trying to capture. So we have lead volume, which is just how many leads are we generating on our website each day. That's pretty easy to understand. Close rate is the percentage of those matched leads that eventually close a loan. So you might understand if you've ever got a loan, you don't close in real time. It takes 60 days or 90 days to close that loan. So we do have a predictive model that predicts the close rate based on the consumer information, and we use that in this report. Revenue per lead is just how much revenue we're generating per lead, and then cost per lead is how much marketing expense we have per lead. So all that really adds up to the financial health of our mortgage product. So lead volume is definitely the KPI that we're going to focus on in this report because it has the most impact. Because not only can we drive it real time, we can make changes real time to influence it, but if you go back to that thing I talked about where the lenders have capacity issues, some lenders only want 100 leads, some lenders might want 1,000 leads. So if we don't fill the capacity right at the top, we're leaving revenue on the table. But if we overflow that capacity, you're going to start hitting your revenue per lead is going to drop, and your margins are going to suffer. So we have to kind of constantly ride that perfect capacity. So not all leads are created equal. If you've ever done any kind of marketing, especially e-commerce, you probably understand this. So we segment our leads based on the marketing channel that they came from. So everyone's familiar with like search engine marketing or display ads or CRM email campaigns. So we do the same thing. And then we further segment based on what partner we're working with. Is a Google ad versus a Bing ad, et cetera. And then so once we know where that lead came from, we classify it based on its quality. So we looked historically at what were the close rates, what were the RPLs and CPLs to kind of determine, is this a high quality channel or a low quality channel? And you might say, why are you ever advertising on your low quality channels? Well, it's because volume is volume, and sometimes we just need volume. And then we also classify based on the type of channel. So this is basically a binary thing. Is it a lever channel or a static channel? So if you've ever done digital marketing, you might know some campaigns you set up, and you really can't change it. Once it's launched, you've already spent that budget, and it is what it is. Other things like SEM, search engine marketing, you can change your bid in real time or turn off your ad. So if we know that we're running hot with a particular campaign, we can turn it off. So we call those lever channels. And then lastly, we classify based on which mortgage product they're searching for, and then based on which marketplace we match them on, and that's like a proprietary thing. So that's the kind of basics of the problem we're trying to solve. And Abby and I talked about, while building this deck, how do we measure our success? We really want to show you that we had an impact in the business. So it's kind of hard to say, did we alleviate executive anxiety? Because executives are going to find something else to be anxious about. But we did look at our pacing plan. So once we started this project, we started a daily official pacing plan document that archived each day what was our plan by channel. And then we could look at the actual leads that were generated each day and calculate the variance. So you can imagine in the prior state, we really didn't have standardization. We really didn't know what marketing channels didn't know what their plans were, what they're trying to hit. So it was impossible to see where we were. So the variance was very high. So in theory, if this dashboard really drove more insights, we would be managing closer to plan, and that variance would drop over time and start to approach zero. So if you want to see how well we did, you're going to have to wait till the end of the session. So with that, I'm going to let Abby talk about the actual work involved.
Thank you, Jacob. So how's everyone doing so far? Good, awesome. So after knowing all these backgrounds and all the problems we try to solve, it's time for us to show you how exactly we did that. But before sharing the secrets, let's take a look of the old legacy report we had before bringing Tableau. I'm sure like most of you here knows how pretty the visualization Tableau can build for us. So this SSR report is not very visually appealing, and it's basically just a screenshot, right? So you can now say hover on E to see the tooltip. It's just a picture out there. And also, hold on one second. The old data structure we had was pretty much like not enough for our business either. So as you see here on the left side, just pretty much like all the companies does. So we have the data source from our tech team. So our tech team bring the real-time transaction data from Lindex to real-time database every 10 to 15 minutes. It's an automated ETL process. And our business analytics team, they draft the daily plan every week for their product. And the audience for this report is basically just the digital marketing teams, because they can see how they perform, how they pace during the day, and then they can adjust their beats to make sure they are meeting the plan. But really, this SSR report only sent twice per day. So yeah, let's see what's the problems here. First, it's really about the frequency. So at LendingTree, we got about 500 plus question forms coming in every hour just for one product, mortgage. And so you can imagine like this twice per day report won't be enough for us. And secondly, this report is not intuitive nor interactive because it's just a screenshot. And last but not least, there's no channel customized alert system. So what does that mean? So in the real world, each channel is different, right? Like CRM, email marketing, and search engine marketing, they are totally different things. But in the old report, we use the same alerting threshold for them, so it's not really something we want to do for our business. All right, so that's why we have this new data structure. With our team jumping into to pick this project up, we really mainly pick up the thing about the data manipulation and report creation. So we have a professional team to do these two jobs right now. And the rest that stay the same, our data is still in the real-time database, and then the audience is still the marketing teams. But what we do differently is so Tableau is really like a bridge between the tech team and the business team. We closer aligned with them than the traditional tech team. And how the data flows. So after each real-time database ETL, that will trigger our store procedure to refresh as well. So which means whenever the data got loaded from Lindex to real-time database and when it's complete, it will trigger our SQL store procedure to populate a table into our Tableau database. And then that table is the source of our Tableau report. So we don't need to set up any refresh on Tableau server. We use that process to refresh our Tableau report. So what's the good thing about here? If you set up the refresh separately, say you have your ETL to load your table, and you also have the Tableau refresh on your server, what will happen? When your table is still populating the data, and at the same time your report got triggered to refresh, you might be refreshing from an empty table. So this data flow really solves that problem. And when the report is on the server, we subscribe that the report for our audience every 30 minutes. But the report is just some overall performance and then just some numbers out there. And as I mentioned, we want to do some alert settings for different channels. So that's why we added a new alerting system with a little bit help from OpsGenie and Python. And what's the good thing here? So everyone knows on Tableau, either the subscription or the alert could only be sent in email. But we all know that not everyone check their Outlook every single hour. So with the help from OpsGenie and Python, we expand our alerting options to Slack and even text message. So I will going to show you like how exactly it's being done. All right. So let's take a look of our actual report. This report consists of the three main components. The first one is the summary page, and second, just the pacing graphs, like how we pace during each hour. And the third one is just the alert subscription. Let's look deeper in the summary tab. So we put a summary tab in the top of our page to emphasize the current performance. And then I'm going to show you some tricks to make a real-time report successful. The first one is about the timestamps. So how many of you face a situation like your reports, you publish a report to Tableau Server, and your stakeholder come to you and say, hey, Abby, the data is not updated. What's going on? Anyone here, right? So usually what will we do? We first go back to the background refresh to check if our report really got refreshed. And if you see, oh, my report did got refreshed, so what's going on? You need to go back to your data source. It might be a table or it might be an Excel file. So you have to take multiple steps to check what's going on here. But with these two timestamps, so the first one is the report updated time, which is pretty much just the time this report got refreshed on Tableau Server. And then the second one is the latest QF completed time. It's basically just the latest lead we got from our website. So like the latest question form our consumer filled. So with these two timestamps examples here, if you can see here, the report last updated at 10:43, and the latest question form got completed at 10:25. So when the user see this, they know, oh, the delay is coming from real-time database. So they know they have to contact BI instead of my team, all right? And secondly, I think everyone knows about this. We use a simple and color-coded in our the performance summary here. So with this, I think probably some executives, when they open a report, they can know immediately how we perform during the day. And the third thing I want to share with you is a question mark tooltip we put in pretty much all of our official report at Landing Tree. So inside this tooltip, we put information like the formulas or the logic behind the metrics on this report. And then it's also a dashboard action, so people can just click it, and then they will be directed to our internal documentation site. But I know from the opening keynote, they are doing something similar to this with the new metrics. So, but I'm happy we had this before to solve people's question, because it doesn't really solve people's question. It also saves our lives. Like, we don't have to answer the question every time. They can just see the documentation by themselves. Okay. And then this one is the performance pacing dashboard by channel. So does anyone know like what kind of chart is this? Like the name of this chart? No? Okay, so it's actually called bullet chart. I didn't know that before. I just Googled it this morning. So this is a bullet chart. And then, so Jacob and I really try to like utilize the space on our dashboard well. So if you see here, just let's look at the first row for SEM brand. If you see here, we actually put 3 different metrics just in one cell. So yeah, we really like to save the space on the dashboard. And if you see here, the 3 metrics is basically the first one is the plan, which is that line, the black line in the cell. And the black and slimmer line is the current volume we got until this moment. Last, the color bar is the volume run rate. So you must be curious about what's volume run rate. So volume run rate is like the predicted end of day volume. And why do we need that? So if you see the plan here, it's actually it's the plan for the entire day. It's like the plan we want to have until the end of day. But say now it's only 2:30 p.m. How do I know how much leads I will get from this channel at the end of day? So we use run rate to do the prediction. And we also have the formula here. Let's take a look at it. For example, now it's probably 2:45 p.m. And then I know I already got 900 leads from SEM brand channel. But I want to know like if I will meet the plan until the end of day. So I get the last 4-week average for both the average until this moment, 2:45 p.m., and the average for the end of day. And then I can easily use the ratio, so 2,400 divided by 800, which is 3, multiplied by 900, and then I know I might get 2,700 at the end of today. So I know if I need to adjust my beats, okay? And in this slide, we are showing the pacing, the performance for each hour during the day. Why we do this? We don't want to say, be like at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. and say, hey, I still have a lot of leads not getting. I want to meet the plan. We don't want to be like that. So we need to trace our pacing during each hour. So on the left-hand side is a cumulative view, and the green line is the volume I got for today. And the gray line in the back is the 4-week average. So with this view, I know how I pace today compared to the average. And then on the right-hand side, just the actual by hour. I want to hit the plan. I want to be like last 4 week every hour. So that's how we need this view. All right? Okay. So with the report, we also need alert to convey the message to our stakeholders. Okay, I will give you some time to take a picture. All right. So I'm going to show you like why we still need to have a new alerting system to complete the whole reporting. So first, here is the alert tab we have in our report. So we really have this tab in our report as well, and then each row is a product by channel, and then it also tells you if you meet your alerting condition or not, and then by how many leads. And if you can imagine here, we have so like a complicated calculated field here behind this to make this happen. And this is the old alert we had before. So pretty much before May this year, we only do alerting with what we have on Tableau Server. So pretty much with this view. And what's the limitations here? Like I mentioned earlier, with Tableau Server, all the things could only be conveyed through emails, right? So with this, you can only send the alert through email to your stakeholders. And secondly, there's no one-stop tracking system with that. So what does that mean? If I'm a business analyst, when I come into the report and then see, the Google Display Network, they are pacing too low for purchase. So first, I need to take a screenshot of the report, or probably I copy the link of the report, and then I send to the channel managers of display. So it takes you several steps, or probably sometimes you even need to call someone to say, hey, take some actions. So we don't really think this is like a really good alerting system, so we want to keep polishing it. And that's why we have a new alerting system with the help from Python and OpsGenie. So we do have a Python script to store all the commands, all the things we want to do. And then we put it in our scheduler to trigger it to run several times during the day. And first, I need to get the data from Tableau. And when I said get the data, I pretty much just get the data from the tab I showed you in the previous slide, like the alert by product, by channel. And you might want to ask, why don't you just get the data from your database or from your other data sources? Why you want to use this fancy library to get the data from Tableau? So the thing is that because we have so many sophisticated logic in our calculated field, I don't want to rebuild those formulas in Python or in SQL. I think everyone knows about that. So, and the other thing is I still need to show those alerts on my report. So why don't I just use the data from Tableau? So that's why we decided to do that. So we use a library in Python called Tableau Server Client. With this library, you can get a data behind any view on your server, and you can also update some view. You can do many things with this library, and there are many resources online for you to look at. So first, we use this library to get the data behind the tab I just showed you. And when the data is in, it looks like this. So like the alert by product, by channel, and it tells you if it meets the alert condition or not, and also the plan number, current volume, and volume run rate. And we ask Python to filter the routes who meet the alerting condition. If there's no, that's fine, that's good. And if there are some channels like the display here and affiliate channel here, we need to send a message to OpsGenie. When OpsGenie, and then how we send a message to OpsGenie, there's an OpsGenie API in Python. But first of all, your company needs to partner with OpsGenie to have an OpsGenie account. So inside this API, just type in your company credentials and then something like that. And there's one good thing about this OpsGenie API. So if you have used the subscription and alert on Tableau server, you might know when you set the subject, that subject will always be static. Like if you say intraday pacing alert, every time in your Outlook, the subject will be the same. So people might just ignore their subscription and say, I don't want to look at it, right? And one good thing about using OpsGenie in Python is you can put your variables into the subject and the description. So people might receive an email in the title saying, display is pacing 90% higher than the plan. So people will have to open that email right away, right? So when we send a message to OpsGenie, after that, inside OpsGenie, we further decide which kind of alerting solutions we want to use. So OpsGenie works really well with Slack, so it's also our favorite place to send all the alerts. So let's look at the example here. So at LendingTree, we have a channel called Intraday Pacing, just for people to discuss about for this specific report. And if you see here, in the blue font is the subject. I didn't put variable inside there because I know description, which is the black font, will also be showing after that. So if you see here, it's really, informative. Like people can know the exact performance right now, and then how much lower, how much higher than the plan. And what's more, inside the same window on your Slack, the users can even take actions here. For example, they can acknowledge, close, or under the other actions drop-down menu, they can even assign this alert to other people. For example, if I'm a business analyst, I saw this alert, I can assign this alert to the channel managers for offline or SEO channels. So it's really good. You don't have to do the screenshot and then all other steps, right? And then talking about other alerting solutions, so like this one is the notification center on my iPhone. So this is how it looks like when you have OpsGenie app downloaded on your phone. So it will show you, you got this alert, and inside the app you can do the same thing. You can take actions like assign the alert to others or acknowledge this alert. All right, so it's pretty much about that. And so that's how the magic happened. And as promised, we are going to reveal how this project really solved our problems and how it improved our business. Okay, time to reveal the secret. So, all right, so let's first take a look of the axis. So the number here is the absolute variance of our actual volume compared to the plan. And we started this project from 2018. And if you see the first number there, it's 93%. It's really bad. So because it's an absolute variance, so it means either we were pacing 90% lower than planned, or we were double pacing. So it was really bad. And then after we started this project, we kept polishing and then adding new features to the report and the alerts. So if you see the pink dot line here, there, in August 2018, we started categorizing channel in an untraditional way. So like one of the slides Jacob talked about, we don't group our channel by their channel type. We further group them by product or by the lead, the quality of the lead. And if you see here, after starting using that, we do see a huge drop over there. And then until recently, we started, May this year, we started doing the alerts with OpsGenie and Python, and then we do see another small drop over there. So I will say we will keep polishing our report and then make our business better. All right. And Jacob now will talk about what's our plan for the future and what's other use cases.
Thanks, Abby. So thinking about this use case that we had for our pacing, there are probably use cases in your own company that are similar but not quite exact. Here's some few to get you started. We, like I said, in our business model, we have the marketing side and the lending side. We could have built this from the lender perspective, like are we pacing to hit those lenders' capacities from a lender perspective instead of the marketing channel. Our web pages, we're a web company, so we could do it, put on special pages and see if monitor traffic and alert if it's greater than or less than the 4-week average or something like that. If you're in manufacturing, you can use this to monitor failure rates or how many widgets you're making per hour, et cetera. And then if you're a call center manager, you can monitor call volume by operator, stuff like that. So really the core concepts here can apply to anything you can measure and visualize in real time. So what's next for LendingTree with respect to this project in Tableau? Well, with Tableau, we're going to continue to focus on adoption with those companies that we've acquired, making sure that they're all using Tableau and looking at the same data that our executives are looking at. And then we want to also look at, for this particular report, we've already made improvements that we didn't have time to include in the slides. But in addition to looking at volume prediction, we're looking at revenue and profit prediction, which is a little bit more complicated, but we've made good success there. And then for the alerting system, we've already thought about ways to apply this to other verticals. Our mortgage product is the most mature, so we have the most understanding of it, but our personal loans, credit cards, other products, we can obviously do the same kind of thing there. And then we also want to use the alerts for our internal processes, like how many Tableau extracts are failing per hour and stuff like that. So there's a lot of use cases that we see beyond just what we showed you today. So that's the end of our presentation. So we'll give a chance for anyone to ask questions if they have any.